right, here we are again with another Cooking with Carl. We're going to start with preheating the oven to 350 and putting the rack in the middle position. The recipe said put it in the middle. This is not always going to be there, but I didn't take the lazy route, of course. I'm making this from scratch, so I peeled a pound of carrots. I washed them first and then I peeled them. Look at all that peel. I hope this is satisfying to you, watching me peel carrots. There we go. Look at that. Isn't that a beautiful, beautiful carrot there? And then don't forget you gotta cut off the ends of the carrot. Um, you know, it's got some, that's where the stem comes out, the leaves come out, and we're trying to make a good sweet cake. Now I don't know if this is inedible or not, the ends of the carrot. I assume it's edible. It's just not going to be the flavor that we want. I mean, a carrot cake, in essence, is just, it's a spice cake. It's not necessarily healthy. It's just, it's a lot of carrots. I mean, it's a pound of carrots over the whole cake. It's just a lot. But, I don't think that you could call it a health food. But you'll see that down at the end. But I tell you, it took a while for me to grate this. So if you're doing this at home, I recommend for this recipe, find yourself a nice podcast, an audiobook, maybe some kind of playlist that you can really sing along to and just start jamming out, because it's going to take you a while to grate these carrots. Because I don't know if you saw that, but I had, like a dozen or so carrots, to go into that. I bought a 2-pound bag. And this is just one of the carrots. And see, it feels like this is taking a really, really long time. Because this is undoubtedly the longest single step in the entire process. So if you can find already grated carrots, more power to you. But there is something to be said about making something completely from scratch. You get these little carrot nubs and you just munch on those at the end. Call it good. All right, and look at that. Eh? That's satisfying right there. Little pile of carrots. And this is what 1 pound or so of grated carrots looks like. And now we're going to add flour. We're going to start making the dry ingredients. As you can see, I actually went and got myself a couple of stainless steel measuring cups. Being that I only had the one measuring cup, I now have 3 measuring cups that for solid I still have my Pyrex for liquid, but there you go. I mean, it's not exact, but people liked this carrot cake. I got some really good reviews on it. For the spice bit, we're gonna put some cinnamon and some nutmeg in there. I was not super exact. I just put less nutmeg than cinnamon. This is where most of the flavor is gonna come from, other than carrot. Just a little dash of salt there. Always good to have a little bit to cut the sweetness and that. Some baking powder and then some baking soda, both of them going in. I probably put a little too much in, but hoop-de-doo, it's fine. We're all fine. One thing to note is, see, I'm doing all this, well, trying to do most of it with one hand, because my other hand is holding the camera. So as you can see, my uneven bowl there just kind of moving on its own. Look at that. It's having a good time, though. It's having a good time. There he goes. Back and forth. A little bowl just woo! Like a merry-go-round for the bowl, But you just want them combined. Now on to the wet ingredients. We're going to take eggs, 4 large eggs, which makes this rather an eggy dish. It's a lot of eggs to be putting in a cake. And then I'm going to put a cup and a half of sugar. That's going to take a hot minute, but you want to really mix up sugar and eggs first to kind of, get that sort of cream together deal. Half a cup of packed brown sugar. I just squished it down in there with my thumb. And then here I'm using the whisk attachment to try and break up the eggs as much as I can here. And try and mix them up with the sugar there. Beat them a lot. So, if you wanted to be fancier, I suppose you could separate your eggs and then whisk the whites, but there's really no point to making it more fluffy in this case because there's just so many heavy ingredients that come on afterward that would be just nigh on impossible to keep those air pockets going. Because remember, we're still adding a pound of carrots to this later, and that's really going to impact the dish. So, the dry ingredients, we're adding it slowly because it's flour. So, what I did is I just took my little measuring cup and I added it, a cup or so at a time. Um, this was the flour, the cinnamon, the nutmeg, baking powder, baking soda, a little salt. And you just put in a little bit at a time so you don't get it spilling over the sides, Powdery things in your mixer, that's definitely going to throw it over the side. So just be careful with that. You'll see that happen a little bit more when I make the frosting. I definitely do that. Well, that was powdered sugar, not flour, but same kind of concept. But this is the most relaxing part, is just kind of mixing things together. It does look kind of nice, this cake batter. A little bit thick, but not very soupy. That's kind of what I'm going for. And then here toward the end, I just went, you know what, that's enough. I'll just pour the rest in. I don't need to scoop that. And here we go. Stirring a little bit more. Stirring away. Stirring away, yeah. Just stirring away. Now, we're coming up on a really cool part. Now, this recipe says to drizzle in olive oil. So while it's stirring, we're just going to, just slowly pour in a cup and a half of vegetable oil. It just says vegetable oil. I ended up using, what was called vegetable oil for me, which was soybean oil. But I don't know about the repercussions of using something like olive oil or maybe an avocado oil. So I assume they intended soybean oil. So just generic at this point. You don't need to go overboard getting you some fancy oil for this recipe. Oil's not the star of the show. So finally, we have it all mixed together. It's time to add the carrots. Now, this took me a while to add the carrots. It's kind of ridiculous, to be honest. Check that. You can't even see the batter at this point. It's just completely engulfed. And see, I kind of meticulously went through and kind of scraped it all out with the back of the knife. Because as much work as grating the carrots was, I want to make sure that all them carrots get in this dang cake. Because I'm not going to sit there and throw away my little pieces that I have painstakingly grated over a long period of time. Remember, that grating, that was just one carrot. I had to do that several times over. So, anyway, the carrots are in there. We're going to stir it all up and then transfer the mixture into a pan before we can bake it. So, there we are. We are incorporated. It was actually surprisingly easy to do so. Now, I will make a side note. The recipe here says to mix in the carrots by hand, and I assume that they mean, use a spatula to stir it up, but it doesn't say spatula, which makes me think, was I really supposed to take my hand and just get in there like Play-Doh and just smush it around? What's the idea here? What's going on with stirring carrots in my hand? I don't get it, But anyway, like any cake, you're going to bake it until a toothpick, knife, or whatever sharp implement, comes out clean. This took me a couple tries, but eventually I did get it good enough. And then it was time for frosting. Now, I will say I doubled this frosting recipe because when I took a poll of people, I said, hey, do you like carrot cake? See, here we're starting off with 2 sticks of butter. That's a good way to start. And then a pound of cream cheese. So this is double everything. So normally it's 1 stick of butter, 1 8-ounce package of cream cheese. But I figured because I was making it a little bit, I think it's 9.5 by 13.5, so around 9 by 13. I wanted to make sure I had good coverage, and people who I talked to, they really, really wanted the frosting. Like some people were like, oh, cream cheese frosting. Oh my gosh. Oh. Like, and I was like, so I should just make a bucket of that and bring it in. And some people were like, yeah, absolutely. So, to recap, double recipe is 2 sticks of butter, a pound of cream cheese, a little bit of vanilla for some fragrance, a little pinch of salt, and then 8 cups of pounded sugar. Here I am kind of going back and forth trying to get it coated in the powdered sugar. And you can see some of it spill out the right side there. I did get a little bit of powdered sugar spillage, but I was not going to make the same mistake as I had made with the caramel rolls gone bad. If you haven't seen the caramel roll episode or the caramel roll coffee cake, please do. I would enjoy it. So there's my little time lapse of the 2 cups in, then 4 cups, 6 cups, and then here I am going, stop! That's enough. That's 8 cups. And that's what it should look like about when you're done. Extremely thick. Look at me trying to get this off the spatula here. Oh dear. So spreading is very difficult. See here, what I did is I made the cake on Sunday night and then put it in the refrigerator, covered it, and put it in the refrigerator. And then I took it cold and frosted it that way that the cake wouldn't come up. So if you're going to make this, I would recommend doing it cold. There we go. Serve it. It's time for the taste test. Here's my lovely carrot cake. Let's get a good spoonful on there. Look at that. Huh? Looks pretty good. Bon appetit. Oh yeah. That's the good stuff right there. I tell you what. The cream cheese frosting always pairs well with this. I mean, this cake is a bit dense. You know, it's heavier on the carrot flavor, the spice flavor, the cinnamon and the nutmeg really help bring that out. And then the cream cheese frosting is very zesty, you know. And it helps to balance that out. So, big fan of that. Plus, lest we forget, there's still a good amount of cream cheese frosting that didn't make it on the cake. So I will be definitely eating off of the spatula. I bet you wish you had my job right now, but you don't. You could. All you gotta do is run over and get yourself some ingredients. Hopefully this video helped inspire you to do some of your own cooking. So, from my kitchen to your kitchen, go bake yourself something today.